I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just wanted to announce, major spoiler alert, we are going to be going over everything from Season 2, Episode 1 of the What If series. So if you haven't seen that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney+, check out that episode, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, join in with me to break down everything from episode 1 of season 2 of the What If series. It's Johnny Rico.
Hey, it's me. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
This
is our I mean, let's just pull the curtain back. This is our first recording of 2024.
Yeah.
Yay!
First show of the year. Let's go.
Yeah. New Year, same bullshit.
Yeah.
So we got What If for the next 100 videos. We got so many What If stuff to talk about. Yeah, we're gonna break down every episode video by video. Like we got this. We're gonna be cranking these out. So hopefully everybody out there enjoys the What If series season 2, because that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Same thing we do for every series, but it just happened a little bit quicker this time.
Yeah, it happened so fast. I couldn't even keep up with it. And I love the first season of the What If series, but I feel like that was once a week, right? Like we got these once a day. This was crazy.
Yeah, the show is a nice little holiday gift each year or each day.
Yeah, but I was still in my I want to watch holiday movies like thing at that point. But anyway, season 2, episode 1, we get thrown right into it. And I think this was a really good opening episode for the season. It kind of was able to pull us all back in to kind of like that I don't want to say universe, because I know it's going to be multi-universe, but able to pull us back into kind of that mode of thinking and that kind of like What If series in general type of thing, because we got to see a lot of, characters that, we've grown to love and kind of seen certain ones kind of twisted. But I just have to say there were some interactions that I really, really enjoyed, and we got original Groot and Korg, and I loved having those two together. And I'm kind of sad we will never kind of have that interaction in live action, because I really liked that. I loved having Korg, and I mean, maybe it could still happen, but it will be with like King Groot. It won't be with like our original Groot. I loved kind of having our original Groot back and having Korg. It was just those kind of things are really interesting to me, and kind of just a like almost like a side quest of a What If episode is just seeing how some characters would interact in general, like the characters that we've kind of grown to love but never had the chance to kind of interact at that time type of thing. I just thought it was kind of cool to see that those too. But yeah, I mean, it was a good introductory episode. I enjoyed it a lot, and it got me ready for the rest of the season, I guess, of What If. And yeah, but before I get too far in, I was trying not to get into like takeaways and stuff like that. Before I get too far into it, Rico, what were some of your instant reactions to episode 1 of season 2?
Yeah, I thought this was a really cool episode to kind of kick off the season. I really love like the Blade Runner style approach through the episode, of course. Like, I first of all, I just love the way that they kick off like certain events within the MCU to kind of change, like, kick off these chains of events. This one being like the whole Xandar thing, where like Ronan gets like his victory basically, and Nebula gets betrayed, and that's what leads her to become a Nova Corpsman to begin with. I just like that whole angle to kind of kick off the episode. I'm saying kick off a lot already, but it's okay. But I really liked how she's kind of like the Deckard of the story, and we get this whole like detective noir style mystery within the MCU revolving Yondu's death. And it it culminates in some pretty cool interactions, like you said, between characters that we don't usually get to see interact with each other in live action, if ever. Especially within the cosmic side of the MCU, which I think there's just like this. There's a lot of storytelling potential within that side of the MCU that they haven't really tackled yet. That I would really like to see them do that. I'll get a little bit more of that into that later. But yeah, like you said, it's really cool to see like certain characters interacting that you didn't really expect to see interacting before, like bringing back characters like Jan Rog, played by Jude Law, of course,
Yes.
and Glenn Close's Nova Prime. And of course, Peter Serafinowicz's character from Guardians One. I'm already forgetting his character's name, Sar or something like that. But I the one who called him a bunch of a-holes.
Right.
What a bunch of a-holes.
I like that they bring him back because that was another compelling character from a movie like already 10 years old now at this point. So yeah, getting to revisit some old ground is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it must be a lot of fun to just be like, hey, I got this idea for an episode. Let's put it back in this time period. So what was everything like? What are all the characters we can play around with? And that's gotta be
the ones
cool.
that it makes sense too. Like everyone in the thing makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. And that's what's cool about it is because they could just go, okay, we want to tell a story here. Who's available? What players are on the field that we can use? And I think that's cool. And that's going to be a theme that we're going to see in all of the other upcoming episodes and stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just really interesting. You want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to kick off big takeaways. I mean, we kind of both started to kind of, get into it, but my biggest takeaway from this was I really enjoyed having a episode where it was Nebula centered, basically, because I feel like she, just like Loki, kind of started as like a side character that kind of became a fan favorite. And look, Loki has become, far surpassed some main characters in the MCU as a fan favorite. But Nebula has always been like you've seen her progression, but you've seen her progression more so as a side character. And I think she's a very good character. She's a very well-rounded character for one that hasn't been, I guess, a main character in our main MCU, basically. So it was cool to kind of see something centered around her. And it kind of like, to me, after seeing that, I'm like, well, I would love to see, something centered around her in live action. Like whether it be, we get some continuation of like what happened after Guardians 3 and what's going to happen with her, whether we get her paired up with Star-Lord again type of thing. Like she ends up, reuniting with Peter on Earth or something like that. I could she's an interesting enough character that I like seeing her kind of front row center type of thing. And that was kind of my biggest takeaway from this. I really did enjoy, and I'm kind of hoping that this isn't like the last we've kind of really seen of Nebula moving forward, whether it be in cartoon, whether it be like in live action, stuff like that. I would like to see her kind of moving forward in other projects. But Rico, what were some of your big takeaways from episode 1?
Yeah, I think that's really just a testament to Karen Gillan's performance as Nebula. Of course, she started off as this, like you said, like Loki, they both start off like troubled characters. I would say is probably the best way to describe it. When they both have these huge character arcs that we see them progress over time, and we grow to love them as heroes essentially. And they both become heroes in their own right. And I think that's it's really cool that she becomes like the forefront of this story in this episode. Because she's just a fascinating character herself, and she has a great amount of story potential for just that character alone. But man, I never would have thought that this would be like the time where Howard the Duck was going to get so much mileage within the MCU. Like, I love that we've never gotten too much of him in the past. Like, it's always been kind of like blink and you miss it cameos. Like, of course, the first one happens in a credit scene. And the second one, he doesn't, I don't think he really even speaks that much, but he's, again, you see him for like 5 seconds and he's out. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he shows up at the Battle of Earth in Infinity War. So he does get his, like, again, you gotta like pay attention to actually see him. And so now we get Seth Green getting to kind of do some actual voice line, like dialogue work, I would say, not just doing little one-liners and jokes. I would say this is kind of the first time where I actually hear Seth Green in Howard the Duck's voice, but yeah, just the fact that he was like, the guy running the casino and Xandar stuff, it was really funny. And yeah, just the fact that we've gone so far with this character that had this awful movie back in the 80s. Now he's kind of had this kind of cool redemption within the MCU. It's like again, a funny little side joke character. But yeah, I enjoy that a lot. And speaking of the 80s, I feel like there's a recurring theme with the 80s within this season of What If, and I think as we go along, I'll start pointing out a lot of those similarities. But yeah, the first one here being the Blade Runner storyline, of course, and I just like the way that Xandar is kind of painting it in the same way as like the city and Blade Runner, and the way that the concept looked at the dome going over the planet and all that was just really cool. And yeah, fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. And yeah, as soon as I in my head, I was like, this is a lot like Blade Runner. This is a lot like, and I went and looked on the rundown.
They're not shy about making
immediately what you put on there.
Yeah.
We have another episode that I am going to talk about the references that I really enjoyed from another movie, which, look, spoiler alert, if you watch some of our holiday retro recaps, you're going to know what I'm already hinting at, but that's for a later episode. Before I get too far, Rico, you want to get to some predictions?
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. Why don't you kick off predictions?
Okay. So with we get a lot of TV shows right now within the MCU right now, right? And I would say for the most part, and other than What If, they're all and Loki, I would say, they're all pretty much based on Earth, and they're all around Earth-centric heroes and kind of these smaller, I would say, like scale stories, I would say. But we haven't gotten any kind of TV show set within like the cosmos of the MCU, and I feel like this episode was a good reminder that I really want to see a Nova TV show, especially because they kind of use Nebula as like a Nova. She's basically Nova in the show. This is like, what if Nova had a TV show? This is basically what it would be like, and that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see like an MCU space cop show, not unlike the Green Lanterns of DC, because of course there's a lot of similarities between those groups in general. But I just think a Richard Rider character in Nova would be really cool to see, and him interacting with he's a good character that we could see interacting with all these different characters within the cosmic side of the MCU, whether he's going to nowhere or he's going to we go back to Xandar, which we haven't been back there in a while. We haven't seen it post Thanos, I would say. So I would like to kind of see like the follow up with like Xandar in the IRL MCU, I would say. But yeah, so yeah, this episode is really a good reminder to me that I want to see more of the cosmic side of the MCU, especially in long form like television style, as opposed to just a movie here and there set in space.
Yeah, definitely. Did we get a confirmation? I know they've been talking about a Nova, but from what I heard, I can't remember if we were getting a special presentation for Nova or if we were getting a series for Nova.
I can't remember off the top of my head if we ever got anything confirmed for Nova.
I know
we're getting a Wonder Man.
Yeah, well, I know that for sure, but also
an Earth-based hero though.
There was something about Nova, and I can't remember if it was going to be a special presentation or if it was going to supposed to be a series. Which, like, anything could change at this point. I mean, we had Armor Wars that was going to be a series, and then that got upgraded to a movie, and we've had other stuff, get downgraded from a movie to a series, and yeah.
Oh yeah, it will be a special presentation.
Special presentation? Okay, very cool. I mean, they're knocking it out of the park for special presentations. I feel like those have been.
Well, hopefully that special presentation leads to a full-on series, because I feel like he's a character deserving of more than just that for sure.
You bring in Nebula, man. You took a sip. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm totally in agreement with you. I would love to see that. I would also like to see, I think another thing, and this was kind of what I was kind of hinting at with wanting to see something with IRL Nebula. I would like to see something with like maybe a continuation of the Guardians type of thing, and Nebula kind of being one of the team members for that type of thing. If we could kind of get that. I mean, we still had Rocket, we had the giant Groot that we have now in the MCU with him, and some newer characters. We had Kraglin also still, but like if we got either a special presentation for that or if we got a series for that, that would also be kind of cosmic related type of thing, and kind of more cosmic, and it could be like kind of not monster of the week type of thing or for each episode, but just kind of like something that's more long term than a movie type of thing. I think would be cool.
Yeah, she's living that mom life now.
But yeah, I mean, so I'm gonna probably think this after every episode of this season, just because of rewatching season one. Now, after each episode, I'm wondering if anyone from that particular episode could get plucked to the overarching storyline for the season type of thing, because there's going to be something that leads up to it. And I mean, my first choice obviously would be Nebula for this, to kind of get plucked by the Watcher into like the multiverse Avengers type of thing, if there's a overarching storyline for it type of thing. But yeah, I'm gonna think about this after every single episode moving forward. But are you in agreement, or would you like to see Korg get plucked from this episode if we were gonna have somebody continue from this one?
I mean, no, I don't want Korg to get plucked. I feel like this felt like a pretty self-contained, like there wasn't, the scale of the story was so small that I wasn't seeing this as like what are they going to use in a bigger picture, scenario here for the characters. I feel like Nebula was just kind of used for this story because it's where she fit within this style of storytelling. And I think, for me, we were talking about this before, like when I watched the episodes, I was like, do I want to see if it's going to tie in later on, or like really all these episodes kind of put in my head, like what if we had shows or something like around this style of either storytelling or like even the world itself, which I think is like the great thing about this show is that you can look at it so many different ways and you can't really be wrong, because like we've kind of seen with Captain Carter, of course, because she's kind of been like one of the recurring themes or characters throughout the show. We already know through like trailers and stuff that we're going to see her again, so it's already kind of fun. And then we've seen her already in other stuff like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. So just the fact that there's potential for characters in here that they're going to cross over eventually is a lot of fun to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here for all of the what if scenarios. I can't wait. Even for a season 3, I'm excited to kind of see where they could possibly go next. And look, we could even get side projects from that, because and I promise we're almost finished with this, but didn't Marvel Zombies kind of come from a what if scenario originally type of thing? And now we're getting a full on Marvel Zombies series at some point also.
Yeah.
So we could have, I mean, these could be like jumping pads for
backdoor pilots basically.
Yeah. And it would be really cool to see some of these kind of take on a life of their own and kind of a plot of their own and kind of move forward type of thing.
It's a good way to gauge response on certain things.
Yeah, absolutely. But as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of episode 1? And where do you think we are going to see Nebula next? Do you think we could potentially see her in a series, or we see her in a movie, maybe with Star-Lord? We do know Star-Lord is returning to the live-action MCU. There's no wrong answer at this point. And, what are you hoping to see with What If? Like, what scenarios would you like to see that maybe haven't been explored yet? Let us know in the comments. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.